Here we go now. All right. So, hello. I am Reverend Wendy Silvers, and you have arrived at the Awakened Mother podcast, which are weekly dialogues with leading edge spiritual teachers, experts, professionals, scientists, moms on the ground, all in service to the upliftment and the empowerment of moms so that they remember their divine nature and live and parent on their terms. And I am just delighted. I love all the people that come onto the show to share their experience, their wisdom, their gifts and their talents. And especially today, I have with me Macha Einbender. And Macha is a Reiki Master, a healer, a Lightworker, and a closet comedian. She is such a sweet and wonderful woman, a mama and a wife. And we met years ago at Marianne Williamson's Sister Giant. I was there with my daughter, who was, God, I think she was 10 or 9 at that time, and saw Macha and Gabrielle Bernstein, and I think Lori might have been with you as well.
So hi, everyone. Lori was not with me at the time. I wish she could have been with me. She was not. Who else was there?
There was somebody else with you, but welcome. Just please put your hands together for Macha Einbender. Whoa!
I thought we were going to pray. I'm like, can we start with a prayer? I love that.
Yes.
So I remember that meeting so well. I remember meeting Joy May and just being like so mesmerized by her, this little girl. I think she might have been like 9 years old or something, right? It was so long ago. And now seeing her, like, she's a woman now. I've been following her through the years. And I just remember that instant connection that we had. And that was like the first time that I'd ever been first away from my kids. Like my kids were really small at the time, like babies.
Yeah.
And like literally babies. And I loved being there. I flew by myself. It was a snowstorm. There was a snowstorm. Flights were delayed, but I landed. I was just so excited to just be there. And I remember it was the first time that Gabby actually had like a face-to-face meeting with Marianne Williamson.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. She had left. She had taken a bath in my hotel room, gotten ready, and she was leaving to go have dinner with Marianne Williamson. Like she had spoken to her on the phone, and they had Marianne had done some calls about Sister Giant, and Gabby had joined the calls and was talking to her. And that was the first time that they went for dinner. And I just remember being like, oh my God, it's so cool. And it was so amazing meeting you. And my God, like how it feels like a lifetime ago, but it also feels like yesterday.
Yeah. We were just saying that. It's, I think that's the gift of soul connections.
Yes.
And also social media. There's some downfalls to the social media stuff, but the upshot is that we get to stay connected. I get to see what's happening with you and your beautiful family, and you get to see me with my family. And because there was such a strong soul connection, I mean, it was so incredible. There we were. There I was walking with Joy May, and it was like light. It was just like, shh, and that was it.
Yeah, it was great. And then afterwards, I remember we did so much work together at the time because we were all just like so on fire.
Yeah.
And Gabby had her future website.
Yeah.
And we started doing the prayers. I mean, Wendy, you are like Gabby, she coined you like the JayZ of Prayers. Just the way that you were able to just like go into prayer, this like channeling, this deep, beautiful like hope and wisdom. It was amazing. So I used to look forward to our prayers. I think they were like every week, and used to post them, and used to there was a whole group. I mean, you changed lives, really, for sure. And it was just such a magical space, because I think at the time everybody was kind of like this budding speaker, and everybody was kind of creating their own kind of their niche in this whole world. So it was a beautiful platform to begin that. which was just really, really cool and amazing. So I've been following your work through the years and all the wonderful things that you've been doing. And I just feel like so honored to be part of that journey with you, in any way possible. So I'm so
Well,
happy.
I feel the same about you, and thank you for that. And I remember when Gabby made that declaration, and I'm honored. I feel like, I'm here to serve spirit, and that is one of the ways, one of the channels through which spirit moves through me. And watching you with your kids and with your platform, that whole branding and the niching, but as a Reiki master, as a healer, as somebody who does the work of constellation, I mean, and meditation, you have consistently been building and growing and teaching, and it's so beautiful to behold. Yeah.
Thank you.
And
I really, I appreciate you saying that, because I think one of the things that has been very important to me was just staying really connected and authentic to what I want to do. And for me, my intention every day is to uplift, inspire, and however way that shows up for me then I know I did my work. My biggest inspiration is when Mother Teresa said, if you want to heal the world, start at home. And that's just something I really took to heart years ago. And it was always for me just about all right, well, this is my platform. This is, where I live, my community, my family. That's what I have to offer. And I'm going to start right there. And that's just been kind of my guiding light through the years, basically.
well, it shows. I mean, it shows who you are. I mean, and I want to just say that as you were speaking, it was 11:11 here and 1:11 on your coast. So I just want to let you know the synchronicity of the declaration that you were claiming was evident. And I've watched you, and one of the joys that for me is how genuine and sincere you are, because that allowed me to continue to be that for myself, right? There's so many people that are out there with their brands and their niches, and it's a thing. It's a thing. And so whenever we talked and whenever we prayed together, or we did a meditation together, there was this absolute authenticity. So if you ever even question that, I want you to hear my voice in your ear saying absolute authenticity with you.
Thank you. Because that's really, I love that you say that, because I always feel that from you. And I've really made it a point to just to surround myself with authenticity, be authentic, and be my true self. And it took me a really long time to get there, because I think everybody struggles with, it's hard to be authentic sometimes when you don't even know who you are. So it's a whole self-discovery of finding out, who you are in order to be authentic. And I think that that's, one of my biggest things that I wanted to do, is just to really make peace with who I am, find out who I was, and then live from that authentic place. Even to authentically say there were times where I didn't really know exactly who I was or what I wanted to be or what I wanted to do. And I know that my teaching and my platform doesn't look the way that other people do, but it's something that I feel very connected to, that I could just do and go where I'm needed. And it doesn't have to be this big thing. And that makes me happy. I know what I do every single day. And that is something that makes me feel really proud and happy at night when I go to sleep. I know who I've inspired, who I've touched, and I feel that connection. And that's what really lights me up inside, is knowing that.
I think that matters more than anything. And it's interesting, because I feel this overlay as we're talking. I feel the overlay of the tragedy that occurred in Texas. And I've been, so when you talk about that authenticity, and you talk about, your platform, your work was at home, and finding out who you are, my heart, it just expands to all the parents that, sent their kids off to school yesterday, just trusting that they were going to come home at the end of the day, or that when they came home from work, their kids would be, nestled in their beds, fast asleep, or something like that. And so I'm wondering if we can just have a few moments, if you want to do like a guided meditation, and I can speak a word when you're done, to just
I would love
honor.
that.
Yeah. So
I would
everyone,
love.
if you just join us, if you're driving, please do not close your eyes.
Don't close your eyes. Driving.
But if you are not, if you will just take a moment and join with us. I know it's kind of unorthodox to do that on video, but there is the audio version of this. But I think it's really important, because I really believe that everyone is feeling this. There are people, whenever there's any tragedy in anything around the world, I believe that we, especially as mothers, it's like this vibration that just ripples out into the universe that we all connect with and sense.
Yes,
So
completely. So what I'll do is I would just ask again, if you're driving, obviously don't close your eyes, but also just kind of just connect to your heart space. So whether your eyes are open or closed, I'll close my eyes. So just connect to that heart space and breathe really deep into that heart. And just imagine yourself completely surrounded by white light, and allow that white healing light to surround you up and down, all around. And then feel that light go into your heart. Feel that light going out into your home or your office space or wherever you are, your car. And imagine that light going out into the world, into the community. And imagine that light touching every single person and just healing them. Anybody who is feeling loss, anybody who is feeling grief, anyone who's feeling anything, just imagine that this light that you're breathing into your heart is reaching out to them. And now just take a moment and just feel connected to that light that's expanding out. And see how impactful that is when you send out that vibration of love and healing out into the world. And just feel into what other people might be feeling right now. And if we can, just send blessings of love and healing to all the grieving hearts, all the grieving parents, the mothers, the families, the siblings, everybody in Texas, anyone who is connected to this. And just asking the higher powers that be that something get done, that a healing takes place, that we take more time to understand one another, to care for each other, and to create a safe world for our children. And just take another deep breath in. And I'll let Wendy take over here.
Thank you, Masha. How very grateful I am for this sacred stillness. How grateful I am to meet in the heart with Masha and all of those who are watching and listening, and all who are not, recognizing that this one power, this one presence, this one life, this one heartbeat, the Mother, Father, God presence, indwells, surrounds, permeates, and saturates everyone, everything, everywhere. For there is no distance, no space, no separation between this presence and its expressions, its creations. And so I know that my life is the life of this presence, this love intelligence, this God is great mystery. I know that I am one with his presence. And as I know this for myself, I know this for Masha, that right where she is, the allness and the fullness and the oneness of this presence is living her, loving her, breathing her lungs, beating her heart. And it is from this unified field and awareness of oneness that I speak my word, calling forth peace and peace of mind, peace like a river flowing to, through, and around these grieving families, anyone affected by the shooting in Texas, anyone affected by violence anywhere in the world, any form of violence, emotional, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, just wrapping all of it up in a beautiful bundle and releasing it, calling forth a recalibration and a requalification, calling forth an alchemicalization of this grief into something that is greater, grander, and more glorious than the surface mind can conceive, calling forth a world where children are supported and safe, environments are safe, where mothers are safe, where families are honored, calling forth a new vision, a new day, a new way, where there is peace in the valley, peace in the home, peace in the heart, peace in the mind, blessing and calling forth divine and compelling right action and outcome where this or any other tragedy happens, calling forth eyes that see and ears that hear, calling forth unification, calling forth justice, calling forth freedom, calling forth peace, all undergirded by a love that is so profound that it cannot be torn asunder, it cannot be vilified, it cannot be done to, it just is great, grand, and glorious. This love that literally births and sustains galaxies, right where each and all of us are, leading, guiding, and directing the way, absolutely dissolving any harm, any ideas of harm that exists in the heart or the mind of any human. And so with deep gratitude, I simply release this word into the fertile soil, knowing it goes forth and it is made manifest. And I lovingly and gratefully allow that to be, saying, and so it is. Amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
That was amazing. Oh my God, just made me miss you so much more.
Well,
I love your prayers. I mean, they're just such a beautiful gift that you give to the world. Thank you for that.
well, thank you for your meditation. I could just feel that light, filling my heart and going out. And when you said, just feel what that feels like to send that love. I
Right.
mean, that's, you work with energy, right? The energy that is invisible. Energy is invisible, but it's so powerful, right?
So powerful. I mean, I really truly believe in that. I believe that we have the power to transform just about anything with our energy. And, something I've been thinking deeply about since obviously this tragedy happened. And also, I just want to acknowledge that I heard that I was so deeply saddened by the death of Summer Dyer.
Yeah.
So it was like, I just felt like very sad yesterday. And the reason why I want to bring it up is that I love all the Dyer girls. They're just all so beautiful. I've had the opportunity to meet a couple of them and also to speak to Marceline. And I remember I interviewed her back when I was doing Her Future, and I just loved, she's such a beautiful example of motherhood, and mothering. I mean, and basically because she has so many children and grandchildren, she's just so beautiful and just her way. And one of the things that Sage wrote a post on Instagram today, and it was so beautiful, so powerful, and for her sister. And I was thinking about just in general, like how it's so easy to love and support and stand by people when their lives are going well and everything is fine. But there is this human nature that we have where when people are kind of living a life that's not similar to ours, or they're in pain, or they're struggling with addiction, we tend to be a little more judgmental without even the people who are the most non-judgmental, this feeling of like, why can't they turn their lives around? Or why can't they be this way? Or people who are just, like, and thinking about the people that are out there hurting, who do hurtful things to others. Nowhere am I comparing, the shooting or anything like that to what happened with Summer. But we tend to have this view of people who are not living like us. And I think that it really starts, it kind of hit home to me today, how after reading Sage's post, is how we have to have compassion and see people, everybody, not just the people that just live like us and that, are just all like, oh, cooperative, but everyone has to be seen and heard and acknowledged and given the time. And I really just felt that profoundly today, just with everything, because somewhere at some point, whoever that shooter was not seen, was not heard, was not acknowledged, was not validated in a way that he deserved to be. And something happened. There was some sort of trauma in his life that wasn't acknowledged, and that wasn't, his needs weren't met in some way. And I know people listening to this might think to themselves, well, there's definitely people out there who've done violent things who their needs were met, but I don't buy it. I think that anybody whose needs were met emotionally, physically, spiritually, they don't act violently ever. So there has to be something that we do. And it's not just the family members. There has to be something with the schools, with the teachers, with the community. There has to be like something to be done for people.
Really, it's interesting. So I saw Sage's post, and I actually responded, and I don't know her yet. I've never met her. I had a family member who was a drug addict from the time I was very young. And it really impacted me, it impacted the whole family. And I really identified with the mourning, because there's times when you have this loved one and you're watching them hurt themselves, and they are powerless, seemingly powerless to stop. And I went through many different phases of, distancing myself, even though it impacted me deeply. The grief, the grief is profound. So I thought about the trauma that gets activated, that causes one to want to anesthetize themselves, myself included.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about the shooter in Buffalo, and I thought, that at the store that I think it was called Toys shopping, that went in there and killed all the Black folks.
Yes.
And shot them. And I thought about the trauma, and I thought about this young man. I mean, there's so many different ideas that people will purport, but you're right, the trauma, our society, I'm a trauma-informed parenting coach for years, and people, like, they hear trauma and they're like, I don't want to look back. I don't, and I know you do, because you've done constellation therapy and other forms, but if we don't address the trauma, it becomes intergenerational trauma.
Yes.
And then we don't know what light, what the match, that sparks the flame that sets somebody off. And when somebody has trauma, parts of their brain don't develop the way they're meant to, until they receive, until they are able to go back and repair. So you're so right about that. And it is really a spiritual practice.
It is.
To send love and kindness to somebody who's being really shitty.
Yeah, it's true. It's really, it's hard. And it's hard to watch people self-destruct. It's hard to watch people who are just not cooperating the way that we want them to, and not doing the way that we want them to, or what, not fulfilling that. But I also think that, I do believe in trauma, and I know that you've worked as a trauma coach for a long time. I know trauma is like kind of like, I hate to say trending right now. Like
Yes, I know.
But I do believe that that's not a bad thing, because I think that the fact that people are able to, I get a little annoyed sometimes when people are like, oh, trauma is like, but no, it just means that it's a word that people are using and acknowledging, as opposed to burying in the carpet. I'd rather people talk about trauma and make TikToks about trauma, because then people are more confident or more likely to speak about trauma, their own trauma. And I think that everybody has some sort of trauma from their childhood or something that happened to them. Everyone has a story. Everyone has something painful. And I think that trauma, like when you talk about it and when you discuss it, and when you turn that trauma into something that can be part of you, part of your authentic makeup, then it's something you can bring out into the world and have no shame or whatever. But I think so many people are afraid of looking, like you said, to their past, and afraid of what's there, and uncovering that they just hide it, or they think that it's not, they'll think it's not even trauma. Like that's a form of trauma, of thinking that you have no trauma, thinking that you have nothing, do you know how many people I've met who are like, no, I mean, everything was, I think, a great childhood. And most people do, but there's always something there. There's always something to uncover. We all have some sort of lesson or something that we need to bring to the surface. I think it's important.
I agree. I think it is important too. And also there's that minimizing, right? The minimizing. Oh, well, it wasn't that bad. But yet, when I take a look at my life, and I invite my clients to do the same thing, like, what is the quality of your life? What is the content of your life? Since we are spiritual beings having a human experience, we're going to continually be unfolding and evolving. And if there are repetitive patterns and issues that come up, just pause and explore them, because they're not there. Nothing comes into our life uninvited. And each of us responds to situations, based on our own nervous systems, based on going all the way back to the attachment theory.
For sure.
Right? So I have a question for you, because your bio talks about being a closet comedian. You have these, you have the podcast, and you're a healer. So can you tell me a little bit about the closet comedian, and then your podcast? And then I know you have another appointment, so you just let me know when you have to jump off. Okay.
Yeah, just jump off at 2:40 to go pick up the kids. But so I've always loved making people laugh. It's just something that I've always loved to do. Like I've always I've always found relief through laughter. So, and making light of the situation. So, and sometimes it's like, it could be perceived as kind of inappropriate. So, but my parents have always supported this in me, my ability to turn something that would be really, really sad into something that we can laugh about. I've just always done that, like even borderline inappropriate, like just, being that person that says like whatever comes to your mind, but always like in a safe environment, like nothing that I would blurt out. Right. So that's why like I feel like I'm like a closeted comedian, because people who know me very well know that I can be very cynical, sarcastic, funny. Like I just choose to be funny. Like I find that it's just, for me, it works better when I'm light about certain things.
Yeah.
And so like, I just always want to bring light to whatever it is. So even if it's something that's like heavy in the moment, like, I'll be the first one to make the joke and to create laughter and something like that. Just really like, it's important. So, like, I could be talking to a good friend of mine and she could be having a lot of issues, just within her family, and stuff is going on. And I'll say something to her that will just, bring her back to laughter, to like, well, it could be worse. They could be this, like, just, so I really believe, for me, like, laughter is the best medicine, and poking fun at things. Like, it's not all so serious. And I do really believe, like, sometimes in spirituality can be a little bit serious, and people in spirituality could be serious. And I like making fun of that too, like, like, so that's just kind of what I mean by being a closeted comedian, because I think it's more fun when you think things are funny rather than heavy. And I mean, there's so much heaviness in the world, and I don't mean to make light of anything that is serious in that sort of way. Like, there are certain things that I would never joke about and that I hold sacred, but the safety of our children being one of them. But I think that I really do try to bring laughter into my life whenever I can. And the podcast is something that I just started recently. Well, I used to do a podcast for a very, very long time with my dear friend Denise. I mean, that was like, I had young children at the time, and it's funny because now she has 2 young children. She just had another baby.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful to watch. She's such an amazing mother, and her children are so beautiful. And back when we were doing the podcast, like, I had these 2 young kids, and we just talked about everything under the sun. And we had so many different guests that are now, like, have written 10 books. And I mean, just people that were like just starting out, grassroots people. I mean, I remember we interviewed Natalia Rose and David Avocado, David Wolf, just like all these different people that have just created such beautiful things right now. And so I've been wanting to go back to that for a while, and it was never really the right time. And just recently, Lori, my dear friend, she wanted to do something similar too. So we have a podcast that's called Talk Spirit to Me, and I cannot wait to have you on. I mean, you need to come on there and just grace it with your prayers.
I'd love to.
We talk about different things that are kind of going on in our life, and different spiritual tools that we use to help us. And it was based out of necessity, because I needed more things to listen to that were just interesting and fun and funny and light. And so that it's been really fun. So we have 2 episodes out already, and it's been really, really just like such a nice thing to get my voice out there again. Because I think for a really long time, I just kind of kept it very close to home, and I wasn't really so into sharing my voice again until I was able to find authentically who I was, make peace with that. I didn't really want to go out. I felt like I talked a lot over the years. I needed to like kind of just bring it back in for a little bit, but now I'm out. I'm ready. I'm out. Coming out.
Yay.
Totally.
You're out. Well,
Out of the shell. Like, I was out of my shell, then I went back into my shell. Now I'm back out of my shell.
I really can identify with that, going inward, because I've done that. I also have been out, and then I go in. So perhaps that's just the process, but I've always found you to be a woman of wisdom. So
thank you so much, because I certainly don't think of myself as somebody. I'm just such a perpetual student and always learning.
Yeah.
And someone laughed the other day because someone was like, "Hey, can I send you some stuff to listen to?" That I'm like, "Yeah, oh my God, for sure." And I think it was Cynthia or something who was standing next to me, and we were at a party, and she's like, "Masha's like just like a spiritual like hoe. She just wants it all. Like, she'll just, anything you throw at her, she'll be like, yeah, sure, I love that." So because that's just kind of like me. I'm constantly always wanting to learn more. I have such a curiosity about people and philosophies and things like that. Like that's the kind of stuff that just really lights me up inside. And
With
you like inside.
I'm with you. At what I was just thinking, well, who did you just say was with you at the party? Cynthia. Was it Cynthia who wasn't there a third woman at Sister Giant? Am I just making that up? Maybe it was another event.
Oh, it was Gina.
Okay.
Gina.
I knew there was I knew there was a third person, but then I was like, maybe I'm making it up.
No, it was Gina, who is Gabby's close friend, but then she became my close friend too. So she was there with us as well. So that was really fun. Yeah. Yes, you're right. I just remember there were so many people that we met during that time.
Yeah. And
yeah.
And so I know I want to honor your time, and we are at
Thank you, Wendy.
Yeah. So how can
go, but I would love to come back on. I want you to come on our podcast too.
Done.
Okay.
Done. I just love you so much. And
thank you so much, Wendy.
I'm so glad to be with you. And is there a website or an email where people can contact you for your services?
Sure. So, you know what, you can find me on Instagram. I think my handle is Macha216. I check my DMs all the time, so you could DM me there at Macha216.
All right. Macha216. I love you. Safe
Mm-hmm.
travel. Thank you for being here. Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes. All right. So stay tuned for all the information to connect with Macha, and remember that as you go into the activities of your day, that you are powerful beyond description, loved beyond measure, and a force for good in the world. So go forth and spread your magic. I'm Reverend Wendy Silvers. If you want to reach me directly, email hello@wendysilvers.com. You can also DM me on Instagram, and I am on Facebook as well. So stay well, hold your loved ones close, and I will see you soon. Peace and many blessings.